Obviously, we did not play complimentary football. We started off, we had 3 interceptions, 1 fumble, 2 turnovers on downs. Offensively, we gave Kentucky a short field offensively to work with. Defensively, we had third down opportunities to get them off the field, and we didn't execute. Kentucky was 8 of 12 on third down. They scored on the first 4 drives and 6 of 10 on the day. Offensively, Kentucky had 401 yards to 247 for us, so we failed in that aspect. Like I said before, I'll take complete responsibility, and that's on me. I told the players that after the game. They got to keep together, do not splinter, continue to keep working, continue to keep pushing. Obviously, like I said, I'll take complete accountability for that, and that's not the standard here at Florida. So, questions?
What are you going to do with quarterback this week? Is it an open competition?
Well, I think, people want to ask that question. Obviously, that's going to be a point that we're going to talk about. But, no, I think it's always there's competition everywhere, and it should be competition. But, I told DJ, and I had a chance to talk with him. That was I told the staff the same thing. That was my decision to take him out of the game at that point. And, we were struggling. He had a tough, but it's not all on him. And I've told him that. I said, as a coach, it's our responsibility. If someone's struggling, help them out or take them out so they're not put in that position to have to keep fighting through that. So that was my decision. And I told him, I said, when we started talking about trying to use an analogy that might be best. And I said, I know we're not Major League Baseball, but I told him, I said, you've got an amazing amount of talent. You're a great quarterback. But just like in Major League Baseball, it's different than football. Football, we have one quarterback, and he's going to take the reps, and that's what it is. And that's kind of how the game's played out. But in baseball, you have a bunch of great pitchers. And if a pitcher's struggling in major leagues, what do? You get the next guy in, right? And doesn't mean that he's not a great pitcher. It just means that wasn't his day. It was, for some reason or another, it wasn't breaking. For some reason or another, he didn't have the day that he wanted to have. And, same thing for DJ. I talked to him about that. I said, so you're a great player, but I'm not going to let somebody just continue to struggle. I wanted to bring you out and let you refocus, let you gather, let you learn, and hopefully it's a learning experience that's going to make you better this week when we prepare for Ole Miss. So that was my thought process, and I really believe in that. It's a different comparison, but there's a bunch of great pitchers in the major league that they don't have a great day, or for some reason they'll come in for a little bit and it's not their day. And but if they're struggling, you want to have somebody give an opportunity to hopefully try to provide a spark. And I thought that was the time. And for most important piece was to have that chance to refocus. I did ask him, I said, some of the things, what do you think you need to improve on? And he said, just being able to make those great decisions. And he said, I understand it's all performance-based, and it all begins with me at the quarterback position. And I stopped him. I said, whoa. Here's the one thing I don't want you to, I don't ever want you to say that, that it all begins with me. Because it doesn't. It all begins with the coaching staff. It begins with us as an offensive staff to be able to put him in that position. I don't want you to think that it all begins with you and that you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. I don't want that. I need you to go out there and relax. I need you to go out there and play and be focused. And he said, well, my decision-making problem, there's going to be decisions where you're either going to tuck it or drop the ball or throw it away or check it down. But I said, what makes you unique, I don't want you to lose that piece either, because that keeps you sharp. You've extended so many plays since you've been here, and that's what makes you great. So don't lose that edge of saying, I've got to just be a robot and get the ball. No, I want you to be aggressive. I want you, yes, to take those chances. But, yeah, do we need to home in on making the decision to the right time to check it down? Absolutely. But I told him, I want you to relax. The weight of the world's not on you. That's on us as a staff to make sure that we can to alleviate that so you can play fast and have that confidence.
You open the week as a starter then?
Right now, in my mind, he's going to take 1 reps when we go out to practice today. But again, like I said, competition is great for everybody.
What was your assessment of Trammell stepping in the second half after watching film? How do you think he did?
I thought he did a fantastic job. You know, that was his first SEC play to get out there and getting a chance to take the team, lead the team, a learning experience for him. And just like I said, with DJ getting a chance to refocus on the sideline and look and see from a different point of view, I think it's always good. The best you're going to put yourself in a position to be better by getting reps. And that was his chance to get some reps in a game situation. And it'll continue that way over his time here at the University of Florida.
Billy, how do you just kind of, from the outside, it looked like the team just kind of gave up, for lack of a better expression?
Okay, so that's a great question. I'll tell you this, that was my main concern. When I came, as soon as I got on the airplane, I watched both sides, offensive and defensively. And then I came back in, when I got home in the morning, I came back in early, watched it again, offensively and defensively, to see if anybody was quitting and to see if anybody was loafing. I didn't see that. And we had a staff meeting, and that was my main question in the staff room, is did anybody quit? In the locker room at halftime? Absolutely no. Was it acceptable that we lost that? No, it wasn't. So what I did, though, is I went to each coach and I asked each coach, did you see anybody that just blatantly quit and gave up? And they said, no, coach. They kept going. And that's what I saw on film. Now, let's get back to, do we need to fix the things? Yeah, we need to fix some things. I think it's a completely different ball game if we do what we're supposed to do to help. Again, everybody wants to jump on DJ with the interceptions. Yeah, we understand that part, but we had a chance. We dropped the ball going in early in the first drive that would have put us probably on the 20-yard line and a chance to score early. Okay, we ended up throwing an interception right after that. We came back. And we had, I'm just kind of looking through some of my stats here, but we had a chance to, I'm sorry?
The fumble was kind of a killer.
Fumble was obviously, well, we're 7-3, okay? They got the ball, they came back, first quarter, 7-10. We fumbled, and then all of a sudden now they got the touchdown. Then we went 3 and out, and we ended up punting. Then we threw a TD, they went and scored a touchdown, then we had another interception. So you can kind of see the timeline, but the first part that's more important to me is the first part when we had three opportunities to their one opportunity. We had 3 drives to their 1 drive, and we only capitalized on a TD one time. But we had 2 really good throws, in my opinion, that we dropped the ball, and then we had another throw that we threw to J. Mike crossing the ball, but we were in illegal formation. That's fundamentals for me. Those are the things that go back, the things you look at and say, well, we weren't successful. There's a reason why we weren't successful is we had missed opportunities that I think would have changed the score a little bit at the beginning part, and then all of a sudden now you're not putting the defense in a short field. So it's complementary football, and if you're not playing complementary football, you're not going to be successful. And we talk about that all the time, and so it didn't happen. And it kind of got out of hand early, and they jumped on it. They came second half. They had a long drive and made it put it up 31-7, and we only got the ball 3 times. They did a good job taking care of the ball at that point. They were going to run the ball and try to run the clock out, and they did a good job. Again, we need to be better. We need to get them off the field in third downs, and our players know that. Our coaching staff, Ron talked about that to the team. He said, listen, he goes, maybe I got to do a better job too. I got to obviously put our players in a better position to get off the field when that time comes. So, but again, it all ties in, complementary football.
Any other players come to you or the staff and express kind of their desire to make sure that they can redshirt this year?
Yeah, I think that's something we talk about that every week. We always have an update as far as where players are, as far as the numbers that they've played. I respect that 100%. And we talked about Tank about that. That was brought up to me, and Tank was very, very, very very professional in the way that he approached it, and said, "Coach, I'd like to," and I understand that, and so definitely granted that. But we have a count on a piece of paper of how many games the guys played in, and we monitor that. And part of that goes into talking through with the staff, talking with our front office people, talking with parents, talking with the people that are going to help them make those decisions of where they're at, what they need, if they want to continue, if they're going to continue to help us, or if they are looking at that. And number-wise, right now, there's a couple players, but that are on that cusp of, game 3. That might be one more game or 2 games. But it definitely, our job is to try to make sure that our players are put in a good position as well.
And in those scenarios, what are just the expectations for those players? They still got to do everything that they have to practice during the week?
Which ones?
Players that have expressed that they want to be able to still preserve their red shirt.
Well, as of right now, Tank's the only one that's done that to me as far as saying that he wants to do that. And is his expectation is to show up at practice and work extremely hard to try to make himself a better football player and make our team a better football team. So nothing's changed from that standpoint. Our job is to continue to develop him and make him a better football too. So absolutely.
What are your thoughts on Lane Kiffin as a head coach and a play caller?
He does a great job. Does a fantastic job. Obviously, he's been an NFL head coach. He's been a college head coach at multiple stops, going on year 6 there. And I'm looking at some of the stats, just kind of what they do well. Obviously, and I got some stats. Their explosive offense. 54.8% of their drives end in a score, which is top 10 nationally. 13th highest rate of explosive plays in the country at 77.4%. And 77.4 of those plays are through the air. They do a good job keeping the pocket clean. They're top 5 in the country from that standpoint. And they do a good job. And he does a really good job. We've talked about it in here in the middle 8. They score 68.75% in the middle 8 of the drives, which is are really good. It's double the FBF average, and then they score a touchdown on 50% of those drives. So he does a really, really good job. Very balanced on offense. They're 51% run, 49% pass. They utilize their skill. They've had 3 receivers that are all about the same in receptions with a tight end in that same number. And then they've got their tailback. He's closing in right now. I'm looking at it right now. But he's closing in on 1,000 yards. So they do a really good job. And then, I think people forget about it, but defensively they do a fantastic job too. They've got some really good football players up front that can cause you to try to scheme and try to get away from them. And then they play multiple skilled athletes in the back. True, might not necessarily be your biggest linebackers, but they're runners. They're 6, 7, 8 guys in the back that can all be interchangeable and run extremely well.
Chambliss has been one of the biggest stories this season. What have you seen from him early on this week, and what challenges does that present for your defense?
Well, numbers-wise, he's done a really good job, just based statistically. What is he right now? He's thrown for, 2,000 yards here. 13 touchdowns to 2 interceptions stand out to me. So he's done a really good job of getting the ball to his playmakers. But the other part of it, he's a really good runner. He's close to 500 yards running right now. He's ran the ball for 100 times this year, and he's not afraid to run it down in the gold zone. So he's a fantastic player. Obviously, he's done a great job, and I think they've got a couple. They've got a couple good quarterbacks in the program, but he's done a really good job of spreading the ball out to his playmakers. But the ability to run, you've got to focus on keeping him contained as well.
The dynamic's interesting this week. You obviously pay attention. I mean, I know you guys live in a cave over here, but you're aware that Lane Kiffin's name's been talked about
Yes,
a
sir.
lot.
Absolutely.
Are you aware of this?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
For the Florida job. What do you think about just that? What is that dynamic like? I mean, you're walking into, you think that potentially the future coach here could be on the other sideline?
I have not mentioned it to our staff. I've not mentioned it to our players. Do I read them? Am I aware of it? Absolutely. But no, we've got to prepare. And I keep saying this over for us is we got to take care of ourselves. We got to continue to take care and persist. I'm going to I'll read a quote from a book, I guess, an author, Andy Andrews, 7 Keys to Success. He talks about persistence without exception. And we talked about a little bit about that last week, but, what does it mean to persist? It means everybody in here knows what it means to persist. We're all going to keep fighting. We're going to keep trying to grind. When tough times come, we're going to keep fighting for as long as we can. And he mentions about it, people quit being persistent, not because they're quitters. Yeah, right? When things don't go well, they start to change course. They start to think, is this really what I need? Is this really what I want to do? Is this really what needs to happen? So they start to have second thoughts, and they start to doubt themselves. Is this really worth what I need to do to get where I need to be? And most people decide that it isn't. So they change the course. So we've talked about that with our players this whole week, is if what you're doing moves you in the right direction to achieve the results and success that you want in life, and that's to be a great football player, that's to continue to win, we got a chance to finish with a winning season. And I think that's one thing that people forget is outside the building, we have a chance to control that. We control our own destiny. So we can't afford to change the course. We got to continue to stay the course. Coaching staff, we got to continue to change the course or stay the course and not change either, and help our players be successful. So I have not mentioned it to our players. It's let's go out and play. What I keep telling them is every rep you take is your resume. Keep doing a great job. What you put on film is who you are as an individual, as a player, and that goes into practice. There's a lot of guys out there that are draft eligible. I tell them every day, hey, scouts come in, they watch film. They're going to come in, they're going to watch your tape. They want to see if there's any change from the beginning of the season to now. So every rep you take is your resume. Make sure you continue to do a good job, and if you're an underclassman, you want to continue to get better. So, yes, sir.
Obviously, you've been here 12 years, 3 different regimes. Do you think he would fit? I mean, he's got a little bit of a swagger, wears his visor because of Spurrier. Do you feel like that's offensive-minded coach? Is that what this program needs, wants?
I probably shouldn't even answer those questions, to be honest with you. But I think he's a really good football coach. He's a really good football coach. There's a lot of really good football coaches. He is definitely one of them.
With Trammell specifically, 2 games played now out of the 4.
Yep.
Is that even a conversation that you guys are having
Sure.
when discussing the quarterback
Absolutely.
position?
Again, we go through a list of how many guys on that list and what games they have left to play, and definitely to talk to them about it. I know those discussions have been spoke with our quarterback coach and, again, the front office and his parents. So that's something to keep definitely to track, to monitor where we're at with that as well. Absolutely. Eugene is going to have surgery on Wednesday. He'll have ankle surgery. He had a high ankle sprain, and he's going to have a tightrope procedure to give him the best opportunity to get back for himself coming off and to get ready for spring ball. So tough son of a gun. I talked to our training staff. He got hurt during the Georgia game and pushed through it. Came back in the second half and just battled. And, talking to the training staff, they said, I've not seen a lot of people be able to do what he did, be able to come back and play that second half with the injury that he had. So we're going to get cleaned up, and he'll have surgery on Wednesday. I just talked to him just about 10 minutes ago before he came in here and said, if I do get that question, are you okay with me letting them know? And he said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you. Yes, sir.